I don't know why any of you are shocked about this. I've been trying to tell you this for months on months on months. You may not agree with or like what I say, but most of the takes, not all of them, most of the takes I have on this channel, I'm almost right. I have been wrong on some things, but when you make a video almost every single day, that's bound to happen. But with that being said, more times than not, I am right, and the reason for that is because I have cold hard facts and evidence to back up everything I say. And let me make this clear before I go any farther, I feel weird saying I was right and somewhat bragging about it, but I don't know another way to put it. There's only two ways it can go. You're either wrong or you're right, and I wasn't wrong. First things first, congratulations to every player that was selected in the draft, and as to when I'm speaking, it's still currently going on. I'm not going to sit up here and bore you to death and talk about all those surprising picks because there's a lot of them. It's the NBA draft. We're here to talk about Brandon Boston and Sharif Cooper and what's going on with them, but first, I do want to talk about this player. At number 12 in the draft, the San Antonio Spurs selected Joshua Primo, aka Josh Primo, and he went to Alabama. When he was selected, almost everybody had the same reaction. Who is this kid and why was he selected so high? For those of you that don't know, I'm an Alabama basketball and Alabama football fan, so I keep up with these guys, so I knew who he was, but that's only because I root for the team. And as an Alabama fan myself, I will tell you straight up, he wasn't even one of the best 3 to 4 players on our team last year. So for the casual fans, I can see why you're confused as to why he went this high. His stats and numbers don't jump off the board, he didn't lead his team in almost any category, and he really wasn't even that efficient at Alabama when he was there. What I'm getting to is that there's no real reason and no great things about him, so why was everyone so high on him? He was projected to go in the first round around the 25 to 24 mark, but nobody thought he'd go in the lottery. The reason his draft stock rose so much and he went as high as he did is because of two simple things. He was the youngest player in the draft and he has a ton of potential that he hasn't even gotten close to tapping into. Oh yeah, I can't forget to mention he has great size. He comes in at roughly 6'5" to 6'6" and weighs almost 200 pounds. But the biggest part about his game is the fact that he's only 18 years old and he doesn't even turn 19 until December. So he's younger than some seniors in high school. When you start to take that into consideration, that's why he was regarded so high, because he's extremely young, and I'll throw a picture up on the screen. You can tell he has a baby face. If you ask me, and when I was watching him a lot last year, I thought he was a 16-year-old kid. He looks that young, but his game, I don't even know how to describe it. It's far beyond his years. He's in a situation where most people think he's going to be a bust or he's going to be a star, but I don't see that happening. I think he's going to be a star or a good player. I don't see him falling apart. Even though he wasn't even the best player or close to it on his college team, he was the most skilled player, and I will stand by that. And let me emphasize it again. He started out playing college last year as a 17-year-old. There's a lot of upside to this kid, and I say kid because he's literally a kid. He just turned 18. I also think with him going to the Spurs, it's a great fit because there's going to be no pressure on him to succeed right away. He's one player to keep your eye on. I think he's going to be a fan favorite. He's extremely humble and he's to himself. But now we can get into the reason you clicked on this video and the hottest topic of tonight, Sharif Cooper and Brandon Boston. Everything I'm about to say, I almost don't want to say it because I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself from previous videos I tried to tell y'all about months ago. We'll start with this. Sharife was projected to go at, according to ESPN, in the top 20, and most places had him going in the first round, and I didn't see any mock drafts with him going in the second round, maybe 1 or 2. And boy oh boy, they couldn't have been any more wrong, and I, myself, couldn't have been any more right. When I'm speaking, he just got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, and he fell all the way down to the second round, and late in the second round to 48. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody at all, would have even thought Sharife would have fell below maybe 40. All I see on Twitter and all of social media is how everyone's saying, The people and everyone in the NBA, they're crazy for letting him fall that far. He was averaging 20 points per game with 8 assists at college, so why wasn't he selected earlier? And let me stop this right there. Everyone, when he got drafted, they're saying, oh, that's a steal. It's not a steal, and I'll explain why. I get it 100%. He has a huge fan base and everyone wants to see him win, and including myself, but I gotta tell the truth. And before some of you randoms in the comments try to go, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, yada, 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 shut up and listen to these facts I'm about to talk to you or tell you about and put on the screen. Sharife with shoes on, this is with shoes, is coming in at roughly 6'1" and 180 pounds. 6'1", 180, and if you ask me, that's giving him the benefit of the doubt. He is very undersized and very small, not for college, but the NBA level. And I don't have a problem with a 6-foot point guard. My problem with Cooper is that he can't shoot to save his life. If you think Sharife or you say that Sharif Cooper can shoot, you are dumb and you need to quit talking about basketball. His overall game is good, he has high basketball IQ, and he's arguably one of the best passers in the entire draft. But his glaring weakness and the reason he fell so far is because his shooting ability. It's atrocious. Well, Matt, you don't know you talk. Shut up and listen to these facts. Sharif Cooper last year in college, this is college competition, remember, shot 39% from the overall field. So right there he struggled to even shoot near 40%, but from the 3-point line he shot 22.8%. My biggest problem with Cooper isn't that he's undersized, it's the fact that he's undersized and he can't shoot. This is common sense, it's not hard to get. If you're going to be an undersized point guard or shooting guard in the NBA, the one way you can make up for it is in your shooting aspect. And for the people that want to say those numbers, they don't show his true shooting ability, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that because I watched almost every single one of his games at Auburn, and I think he's a worse shooter on film. That 22.8 3-point percentage, most of them were wide open because the defense left him open and didn't respect him. And you can't even argue and say that he's streaky because he never really got hot. There was only 1 to 2 games when he made a couple of threes. I'm not a shooting coach by any means, but I can tell when there's something wrong in a jump shot, and one thing he needs to work on, if he hasn't fixed it in these past couple of months, is that he leans back on his mid-ranges and three-pointers, and it makes his shot flat and easier to block. It's not complicated, trust me, there's not some secret reason he went and fell so far in this draft. The answer's right in front of you. He's undersized and can't shoot. How many times do I gotta say it before you get that engraved in your head? I was starting to get worried because at around 46 to 47, I'm out here thinking, heck, there's only roughly 10 picks. He may go undrafted. This would have been a wild night, but fortunately enough, he did get drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. So let's talk about how this is gonna work with Trae Young. Trae and Cooper have a lot of similarities, but they also have some differences. One thing that sticks out to me is that they both have an insane IQ and they're both great passers. I will say right now, Trae is a better passer than Cooper because the lane opens up for Trae because he can shoot, so the floor spacing is a little better for the passing lanes, if that makes sense. What holds Cooper back sometimes with his passing ability is that the defense sags on him, so the passing lanes, they're kind of squeezed in a little. Everything else with Cooper and Trae are similar except for shooting, obviously, and I don't really have to touch on that too much. One thing that Young and Cooper both do is that when they're driving in the lane, they have a good floater and they also like to throw alley-oops. Sharife in his first year, I'll go on paper to say this, he's going to struggle a lot, and it's because he can't shoot the ball. This is a shooter's league. There's a reason the Lakers didn't make it to the championship this year. They didn't have any shooters. The good part about this situation now is that nobody has high expectations for Cooper because he fell so low, so it's only up from here. He's going to show some signs and flashes of greatness here and there, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. He's going to be nothing more than an average role player and bench player in his first 1 to 2 years. And yeah, he may be a good backup point guard to give Trae some minutes, but Trae's not going to be sitting on the bench for long, so I don't really necessarily like this fit, and I don't see how it's going to work out. Let's move on to our next player and other player that people were shocked he fell so low, and I have no idea why. We got Brandon Boston, or BJ Boston. Mr. Boston himself fell only 3 spots after Cooper, 251 to the Memphis Grizzlies. This one isn't as shocking. Most people were predicting him to go around that 30 to 40 area, so it was lower than anticipated, but not by too much. I don't want to spend too much time talking about him because throughout the season last year of college basketball, if you was watching the channel, you know how I feel about this guy. He had one of the most underperforming college seasons I've ever seen out of a 5-star recruit and a major 5-star recruit. There was a lot of people saying he was going to be a top 3 NBA pick. The numbers that he put up last year don't even do it justice. I was watching a bunch of Kentucky games because they're exciting to watch, and man, oh man. I don't even know where you start with Boston, and I don't even know how his NBA career is going to fold out. He was beyond disappointing for Kentucky last year. There was times he looked like he didn't even want to be out there. It would be late in the second half, a minute to go, and he would pass away the game-winning shot, and he didn't want the ball in his hands. I've never seen a player as talented as Boston and as skilled as Boston not want to take the big-time shots and run away from the pressure and the big-time moments. I said this about him last year, and I'm going to stand by it. I didn't care that he was shooting terrible from the field. I didn't care about the missed shots. His biggest flaw in his game to me is his confidence and his mentality. He doesn't have that killer instinct, and I'll say this about Sharif Cooper. I at least think Cooper has that killer instinct. It's a shame that he's only 6'1", because if Sharife was 6'5" or 6'6", you're talking about a top 7 or top 8 pick. What made Boston one of the most intriguing prospects in the draft is that he's insanely talented. He's roughly 6'7", can shoot lights out, but he doesn't tend to rise to the occasion. I didn't really see a great fit for Boston overall. For his NBA career, all I see in him is you can't even label him as a bust because he fell in the second round and almost went undrafted, but I think he's going to be a player who's not an all-star, but not a bad player, and he could be an average player or a good role player on a good team. As far as a star power player that's going to make a ton of all-star games and win a lot of awards, no. This isn't your guy, and I think it's strictly because he doesn't have that killer mentality. I'm higher on Cooper than Boston, and it's not even close. I think Cooper can be a great player and possibly an all-star player one day, but not in his first 1 to 2 years. I don't see Brandon Boston doing much of anything. There was a lot of stuff to talk about with this draft tonight, but those are the 2 notable ones that stuck out to me. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section, but with all that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, wait on it. Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.